everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Midwest Take. I am your host, Jacob, and I'm joined with my co host.
Yo, 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 it's Josh.
It's Josh over there. Josh, how are we doing this lovely, lovely night?
Oh, it's great.
Great as always.
It's November, baby.
November, yeah.
Thanksgiving
Things
is coming up.
Things are definitely changing.
And someone's birthday.
Things are. Oh, wait, whose birthday?
End of November, baby. I'm going to be 29.
29. The big 2-9. It's coming up. Coming up. Big 2-9. Do you like being a November baby? Do you like
I mean, it's nice. I mean,
because you get like Thanksgiving stuff like all the time.
well, like once every how many years it's on my birthday's on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. It's happened a couple times.
But you're close enough, you know.
Yeah, like it's kind of nice
Uh-huh.
cuz when my birthday was near Thanksgiving, you'd have the day off during school. Or now
Yes.
you'd have the day off during work.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But that's where like babies born around like holidays kind of get lucky in that sense, but also they're very unlucky at the same time too because their birthday follows on a national holiday, you know. That can be a very double-edged sword.
Yeah, sometimes I would get annoyed because we'd be like celebrating Thanksgiving, right? Like at the same time as my birthday, and I'm like, you
Would
know, I
they
just-
would they like celebrate your birthday on that same day
Well,
too
like-
or just like do another day or
sometimes like they'd bring a
Something.
cake,
Oh.
but it was kind of weird because like on Thanksgiving it'd be like a lot of family,
Mhm.
but you know, like it'd basically be like there'd be like a whole like on my mom's side there'd be a lot of people there, and it would just be like, you know, it'd be like my grandma and grandpa, and you know, they would like bring my mom or somebody would bring a cake and they would just kind of celebrate off to the side because there's so much family there. It would just be kind of a small little celebration in the main scheme of things.
Now, my little niece, she was actually born on Thanksgiving. She was born on Thanksgiving 2 years ago now. Yeah, 2 years. She's gonna be
That's pretty cool.
she's gonna be three.
What
three
what
coming
day
up.
was she born on?
She was born on. Oh man, I'm gonna get absolutely crucified if I don't remember this one. Before I get crucified, um, you know, I for some reason I want to say it's one day, but I'm thinking of another day. I'm gonna say the 27th. I'm gonna say the 27th, and if I'm wrong, I'm gonna edit it in.
See, one of my good friends, his daughter was born on my birthday, the 28th, and I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah,
The best people are born on November 28th.
is that what you full think with your heart of hearts? The best people are born on that date.
That's what I think. I think most people would disagree
Mm.
with me, but I think November 28th is the best day of the year.
Right, right. Um, what was like your best birthday gift that you received? Like, do you have any like top tier birthday gifts that you'd get throughout the years?
Well, I feel like since I was so close to Christmas, I would get a lot of those Thanksgiving Christmas combo gifts.
Ooh.
So, you know, you get a little better gift because Christmas is coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like one year my grandma and grandpa got me a little one of those back when they had the big old tube TVs. They got me a
Oh.
little Toshiba, and I would play my PlayStation 2 on that.
Ooh.
And that was like the best gift I ever
They bought
got.
you a whole TV.
Well, yeah, because the little Toshiba back then was like
That's
90
awesome.
bucks.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, so I'd play my PlayStation 2 on it, and at one point when we had cable, my dad hooked the cable up to it, and I thought it was cool as can be because I was watching Scooby-Doo on there. And I was like, oh my God, I got my own TV and I can watch cable in my own room, you know, because that's like so cool. And now, you know, kids now are like, I got a 50-inch flat screen in my room. And it's like, I had a 12-inch Toshiba tube TV in my room.
Right. Oh, what did I say for my little niece's birthday? What
November 27th.
And I was right, actually. I am not.
But
a
you
bad uncle.
hesitated.
I did hesitate, but I had to think in my wheelhouse. I'm like, shoot, was it the 26th or the 27th? I couldn't pinpoint it because I'm putting my full excuse on it for blaming the night shift. That's when I still worked night shift. Um, it was I just got off night shift and it was Thanksgiving the next day, and I I went to sleep, but I knew my sister was going to be in labor, so I got home and I knew this was happening, and so I'm like, shoot, I don't want to miss the birth of my little niece. I want to be there. I think it's a monumental experience to
Did you
watch when your niece being
did you
born.
make it?
So yep, I woke up. This was probably, I think she had her baby, I want to say at 9. And so I woke up at 8. I knew when was happening. So I think I got a total of like 3 hours of sleep in. And then I
So you're
just,
talking in the morning, right?
yeah, yeah,
9
yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. She was a morning baby.
Okay.
And I sprinted. I jumped out of bed right away and then ran to my car and then up I drove. And this was like during COVID too. So things were like really weird at the hospital at the
I'm
time.
surprised they let you in.
Um, they weren't supposed to. They were not supposed to. So it was funny. So my sister there was there. My mother and my little sister were also there, and then my sister's husband was also was there too. And so my stepdad, he actually got kicked out of the hospital.
Why?
He couldn't be there.
Why is that?
I don't know if he ever entered in the hospital, but they said he couldn't be there.
But
Um,
you could.
because it was a max capacity kind of deal.
What the heck?
But so yeah, I didn't know anything about that. So I just showed up at the hospital door. I just kind of walked in and I'm like, hey, there's a baby being born right now. I'm like, where would that? And she's like, oh, are you part of the family? I'm like, yeah. And
Yes, very close.
she's like, right this way. And so yeah, she started taking me to the room, and we got to the room, and funny enough, she brought me to the room where my sister was about to give birth into.
Oh no. You're like, I'm not going in there.
And so it was a completely dark room, and I see nurses all around her and the doctor, and I just kind of peer in, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here," and she's like, "Jake, it's not a good time." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then all of a sudden, I look over to my right, and I see my mom and my little sister, and they're like waving me over. I'm like, "Oh, I should go over
Yeah,
there."
you should go over there. Let them do their thing.
Yeah. So, oh man, that was an experience for sure. So yeah, then
For
I
real.
stayed in the room. We stayed in, and then we finally heard the news that she gave birth, and then Joyous Day, Thanksgiving baby,
Awesome.
and then after that,
Uncle
uh,
Jakey.
then we went to my grandparents. After that, we had to leave. We left my sister in the hospital with her husband, and then we went to um, went to celebrate Thanksgiving
Had
with
a good old
with the
meal.
grandparents. Yeah. Oh, every year. The only bad part with Thanksgiving is I in my head is the turkey sometimes.
My dad smokes the turkey every year. That makes it way
Ooh, a
better.
smoked turkey
Smoked
sounds
turkey's way
amazing.
better.
Yeah, because turkey can get so dry.
Yeah, I know. I hate
It's
oven baked
super,
turkey.
super, super dry
Smoked
sometimes.
turkey's way better. So what are we talking
Um.
about today, anyway?
Oh well, I'm glad you asked. Joshua, I was told by a little birdie that you are a little bit of a music head,
Music
a-
buff.
as we are in the studio right now, aka
The
your
man
basement
cave.
in the
The
man cave,
man cave.
which I will say is pretty impressive. I wish I had a display like this.
It's pretty sweet. I wish it was a
There's
little
some
bigger though.
really cool things in here. Yeah, you have like a whole DVD collection on the wall, but I could tell you were a big music head by the immense collection of vinyls you have up
Yeah.
in a wooden cabinet right now.
Yeah, I got a lot of vinyls. I also got my CD collection, which is not really doesn't really compare. It doesn't do justice
Mm.
to my vinyls.
Yeah, the vinyls there. I count. If I had to estimate, you probably almost have close to. I want to say almost 100 vinyls on there, don't you?
Yeah, I
Like
would say
maybe,
so.
like
And I can
90
thank one of
maybe.
my good friends for that because he came into a collection of a lot of classic rock vinyls,
Oh,
and that really helped my collection.
have you listened to them at
Oh
all?
yeah, I listened to some. There was
Really?
couple Fleetwood Macs.
Ooh.
Rumor, an original
Ooh.
Rumor by Fleetwood Mac. I was really excited about that. Some REO Speedwagon.
Mm. Mm.
Um, some Bob Seger.
Um,
I mean, it was a really good collection of
That's
vinyl.
a solid collection.
I
I'd
know. I
I'd be
was so
almost
excited.
afraid to even touch them because I don't. They're probably pretty old, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so
I
they're a
mean,
little flimsy, a little not made
yeah.
how they are nowadays.
Last time I went vinyl shopping in my town I live in,
Yeah.
I found an old Abbey Road. The cover was not in very good shape, so it was only like $20, and I was really excited about that because like an original Abbey Road.
Oh
Like,
yeah, you
because
take
like
that.
screw the Walmart Abbey Road, the remake. Like,
Mm.
obviously I want an original.
Original copy. Yeah, that's like for me. I actually have a original copy of a Queen album. Um, that's actually from Japan,
Now that is
and
pretty cool.
yeah, it has like a little Japanese sleeve on it too. That's all all in Japanese
That's pretty cool.
kanji and whatnot, and it looks really cool. Cool. I have displays up on the wall that I showcase all my vinyls too. So as uh, as you listeners might know or might have assumed, we are actually pretty deep into the music sphere. We love our music enough to buy physical copies, unlike nowadays where you can just you know
Stream.
stream every single thing underneath the sun. We like our physical copies so much so today I had an idea to where we would make a music 3x3. Now, dear listener, if you do not know what music 3x3 is we take a 3x3 grid and we basically fill out these 3x3s with our favorite albums, or what albums that made us our favorite albums,
I think you guys are gonna
whatever we
enjoy
like
this one.
listening to. um yeah, we put them in these 3x3s, and we're just gonna showcase them to each other and kind of give our opinions, our rundowns, what we like about albums, what we dislike about the albums. But if they're on our 3x3s, I'd assume we're pretty much gonna like the albums either way.
Yeah.
So there's probably not gonna be a lot of dislikes, but you'll get our 2 cents.
I
You
feel
get our
like
2 cents on
I
these
feel like I'm
albums.
pretty nostalgic. I think you'll see that in my 3x3s.
Mm.
Jacob, he's got a more broad taste.
Mm. Mm. Very well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
So how I thought we would decide, we have the 3x3s loaded up right now. How I thought we would decide who would go first would be just a good old classic rock paper scissors game.
Or if you like regular show, Portsmouth and cheese.
Yeah, Portsmouth and cheese. Yeah, a good old regular show reference right there.
I just witnessed one of the greatest games of Portsmouth and cheese.
That was a great episode, man. All right, I
Rest in
think
peace, Pops.
we load it up right now. All right, let's do it. On shoot.
All right. Yep. We'll go
Okay.
on shoot.
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 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 Oh, I won!
Oh, after a solid.
That was a great game of Portsmouth and cheese. It took about 6 tries. Doesn't every game of rock, paper, scissors take about 6 tries? Because it's like, I don't know, you think you're going to be sneaky. You're like, I'm going to start on scissors. Then he's like, oh, I'm going to go to scissors. And then you're like, paper, scissors again, scissors. It's just like you guys are like thinking the same thing.
I knew I should have read him better. I should have.
When you only have 3 options.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, as Kenny Rogers once said.
I should have went with the rock, paper, scissors, volcano.
Or dynamite. I've heard dynamite too.
Glue.
Okay, so since you have won the rock paper scissors first. You can decide who goes first or who goes second.
Real quick, want to shout out my favorite local artist. I want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine, and Jacob knows him from as well as they went to college together. Zach Stokes, from Vermilion, South Dakota, local bartender, well liked there. Just released his second album. Band is called Slipping the Void.
Ooh,
What happens? What happens after Twilight? I would say his first album, Club Banger 9000. Second album, Club Banger 10,000. So if you're looking for a song to look up, those are my recommendations. I just want to throw that out there. New album, Zach Stokes, Slipping the Void, frontman.
Yes, we should be getting paid for all this free
free
promotion,
advertising.
But sadly, we are not.
Maybe
so,
we'll get
yeah,
him on
go,
here one of these days.
Go support Mr. Slipping the Void.
Slipping the Void.
He's got a lot of
YouTube,
some cool conceptual stuff coming out.
YouTube, Spotify, probably Apple Music, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let Jacob start the 3x3.
Okay, I guess I am going first. So I will load up my 3x3. It is, so my 3x3, I want to say the criteria for me, so I'll let Josh see my 3x3, and I'll just kind of.
Okay, I think I see some Childish Gambino on there. I also see Pearl Jam.
Not Childish Gambino, but we'll get into that. So,
my bad.
So on my musical 3x3, I like to say there's a little bit of albums that I like to listen to now, and then there's also a few classics that I have listened to in my childhood that have kind of, changed my opinion on music and make me appreciate music a little bit more. So let's just start off with the first one that I have here. The first one that I have on here is one called Hypochondriac by artist named Breakins. It is a newer album that came out in 2022, and this is, I think, it's either his second or third studio album that he's released. He's a relatively new artist. He only really started coming out onto the scene, I want to say 2018 maybe. He's a youngin'. He's a young guy. He is 22 years old, I'm pretty sure. He's like 22 years old, maybe 23 now. He is a new and upcoming artist that has some really amazing songs. He more broke out from that SoundCloud rapper kind of era a little bit. I don't know if you messed with the SoundCloud rappers.
I have heard of some SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah. So like most prominent one would probably be like XX Tentacion or like Juice WRLD or something. Juice WRLD.
Yeah.
He was a sound, but Breakins isn't really a rapper per se. He has his moments, but he is more part of a new emerging kind of music called hyperpop. So this hyperpop basically, I want to say it's a very weird blend of, it has like different synths, kind of different like weird kind of beats to it, like things that are mixed in a sped up or slowed down kind of way.
So
just like some weird, quirky kind of music making.
What would separate? You said it was hyperpop.
Yeah. Hyperpop.
What separates hyperpop from like dubstep or techno?
It's not really in the same like genre. I would say dubstep is more. That's just pure music, pretty much. It's just like constant electronics just blaring into your ears, pretty much.
Okay.
I would say more.
So how would you describe hyperpop?
Hyperpop is kind of, it has all that kind of high energy, and I'm probably butchering like the exact definition of hyperpop here. From my understanding, it just is a little bit more sporadic, a little bit more different, different kind of music that your traditional pop that you have, like, that is probably the most popular nowadays, just regular pop. But things are definitely twisted and sped up in different ways, and is a very, I would say for some people it's a little hard to listen to because they can't wrap their head around it, because it's just like it almost just sounds like pure nonsense. But I would say it gives it a little bit more character, in a sense, where you can pick up on subtle little things in the music where you're like, when you're re-listening to these songs, you can start to pick up on little things that you didn't hear before. I think I'm still currently listening to this album, and every single time I've re-listened to this album, I've heard something new every single time. It just slight little keys that they've put into the songs were like, "Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't hear that last time."
Right.
Once you kind of listen to it, you're just like, "Man, this music definitely has a lot of different kind of samples in it." To where when you pick it up, you get that kind of aha moment a little bit.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Brakens, he's a phenomenal artist. I'm pretty sure he performed at, I want to say he performed at like Coachella. He was like one of the side performances at Coachella. He's definitely breaking out into a bigger, like, he's getting more popular as the day. I would say he primarily blew up in the TikTok era, like TikTok music.
That's
He
not a surprise.
They would use his samples of music behind like TikTok kind of dances and whatnot. But for a newer artist, I feel like that's what you kind of have to do nowadays. You have
I know,
to
like some of the
blow
biggest.
up with the newer generation. That's how you blow up. That's how you get new artists
Yeah, like Doja Cat. She
like
was
Doja Cat.
TikTok.
Yeah, like artists like that. Like he definitely has a certain tune to him where you can definitely tell it's breaking some music, as opposed to there's another few artists that are also in that same genre. I would say like another one like Ryan Hall or Braden Ross. They all kind of have the same kind of. I don't know if you know who any of those are, but they're kind of part of
No,
the
but that's
same genre a little
that's
bit.
why this 9 by 9 is going to be great
Yeah,
because we have
yeah. I think
very
I'm really.
we have some similar interests and we have some very
Oh
different
yeah.
interests.
And this is like new stuff that I'm listening to, and this can all change. This can all change. This is just what I'm vibing with right now. The albums, primarily for the most part, I've selected was, I can listen through all these albums and I won't probably skip any of the songs. I think I could probably listen to maybe 85% of the songs on all these albums without skipping them. There's maybe a few, like, okay, I've heard this too many times, I can skip it. But primarily, they're all songs I would listen to, like, I would never skip, ever.
So what you got for number 2?
So next, I have actually, yeah, another new artist. Newer artist. I think they've been around the block for a while. They are called Good Kid. Good Kid, and primarily this is Good Kid. It's called Good Kid 4. That's what they have titled their newest album. This is their newest album that just dropped 2024, beginning of the year. Um, Good Kid's just one of those artists where all their music, I it's just a good vibe pretty much the whole entire time. All their songs just, they might all kind of sound a little similar, but they're all just like good positive times like all the time. Um Primarily on that album, let me just load up their catalog on this album, because I remember it for the most part. But let me load it up real fast. Good Kid 4. We have songs like From the Start or Summer, like, and it's a very short album. I like these shorter albums. It's only 17 minutes long, only 6 songs on this album. It's straight to the point, give you a good time, and then it's gone. it's good. It's a good kid. I think they've been around since like 2016 maybe, but I just recently started listening to them in beginning of 2024, and I have nothing bad to say about any of their music.
Well,
And
all right.
actually, I was actually yesterday. I actually received a badge on my YouTube Music that I am the point five listener of Good Kid music right now.
Doesn't that give you like a pat on the back? Like I
A
get
little, a
excited at the.
little bit, a little bit,
You know,
and maybe we'll get into.
do you use Spotify or?
No, I use YouTube
At the
Music.
end of the year, Spotify like you'll get like messages from if you're like a top listener
Yeah,
to artists.
YouTube Music's
It's
not that cool yet,
you get like a
but
little pat on the back, like oh you're one of our top listeners.
exactly. All right, so enough gushing about Good Kid. Next album I have is Vampire Weekend. Vampire Weekend. This album is their first album, just called Vampire Weekend. And this was kind of this was the thing to put me on Vampire Weekend. I have very fond memories of this album. I remember listening to this album a lot with my dad. My dad would actually play this album because we had Sirius XM, and it would play on like Alt Nation or something like that, where it would just play all the alternative different bands, whatever on there. I think 21 Pilots was on there
Oh
for a
yeah, I
long
do love
time.
me some 21 Pilots.
Yeah, it was all that, and so Vampire Weekend would play on there. My dad, he actually liked the song, and he was the one that actually turned me on to Vampire Weekend. Um, they're just a stellar band. Um, they kind of all their songs really kind of take you to. I like good. I like songs that take me to a good place. I like to feel a little, um,
Uplifted
yeah,
or
uplifted while listening to my music. I feel like I get a better experience out
I
of my
got I got
albums.
an album like that too.
Yeah,
My
and I think
Nine.
I think I might know what that album is. Um, but yeah, for that album, they have really good songs. Oxford Comma would probably be one of my favorites on there. They got one A Punk on there. That one's a really good one. They have one Cape Cod, Kawasa Kawasa. Cape Cod
Okay.
Kawasa Kawasa.
Kwasa
That's the
Kwasa.
name of the song. Yeah, that one's a pretty solid song. Just all the songs are pretty good song. It's a solid album. A really good debut of what Vampire Weekend had to offer, and that actually persisted throughout their future albums too. I would say Vampire Weekend's really good album. Actually, so much that they came around me not that long ago. I kind of wish I would have saw them in concert.
I know, isn't that like the biggest regrets when like your
Yeah,
favorite bands come by and you're
I
like,
think they were
I'm
doing
not
their
gonna
new
spend the money.
album. They just came out with a new album recently, and they were touring with their new album. I kind of wish I would have saw it. But
I
whatever.
do have a question.
Hmm.
Does it kind of make you sad in this 9x9? Like
Hmm.
thinking like, okay, we made this 9x9,
Hmm.
and then did you have like albums that you were like, oh crap? Like I know that's
Um,
happened to me. I've had albums where I'm like,
there. So when picking out this 9x9, I just kind of threw what I was feeling, at the time, and what kind of shocks me. Well, I didn't put any Post Malone on my.
yeah, that surprises me.
No
You
Post
love the Post
Malone.
Malone vinyls.
I do. I think I'm just
No, you
kind of.
didn't.
I think I'm just. I know I have to think about old Post Malone. Like I
You
think I'm
don't
just
love the
jaded.
last couple
I
albums.
think I'm just jaded on Post Malone. I know I need to like keep that out of my mindset
I, kn-
on selecting my
I
albums.
know you didn't love Austin, and I don't think you really like the
Yeah.
country album.
Well, and that one has some good songs. I think they
I
all
I
have
bet
really
you
good songs on
your
there.
last one was beer bongs and Bentleys, right? Or no,
No, Hollywood's
no,
Bleeding.
yeah, Hollywood's bleeding.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. I just feel Post Malone's going another way right now, and I respect it. I totally love where he's going. I think he's more comfortable where he's at right now, doing what he loves doing. I think he's loves country music so much that
Hmm.
he made a whole album out of it. Um, I just did not. I feel like if there
Last
was
couple
an album I were to
albums,
put on there, it would have been Beer Bong and Bentleys.
yeah, that was
The
like,
only bad part about Beer Bong and Bentleys is I feel like whenever I hear a Post Malone song now, I kind of skip it right away.
what is that?
I feel like for me, like for my conscience, where Post Malone music should be played is not my car anymore. It's more at the club or like
Yeah,
at a
I
bar
hear
or
that.
something
I hear that.
when people can sing along with you. When it's in my car, like all alone, I don't feel the same. Like when Psycho comes on, I'm like, do I really want to listen to this? I'm like, not really. Congratulations. I'm like, if I had someone with me, sure. But like if I'm driving all alone, just like vibing, and congratulation comes on, I'm like, I don't really
Hey,
want to listen to this. But don't get me wrong, when Stay comes on, I am a sucker for Stay. That will always be
hey,
my favorite Post Malone song
I'm
ever.
I'm gonna say one of my most cringe moments
Mm.
was me and a buddy singing "Morning"
Oh yeah.
on karaoke at the bar, and we killed the vibe.
mm.
It was too
Mm.
early. People were not buzzed enough. That it was not the right call.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do remember a cool video of me and you singing "Better Now."
Oh yes. Yes.
That was at Reno karaoke.
We have jammed to many a Post Malone songs, but yeah, me personally, there's a lot of albums, and maybe I'll get that to that a little bit later. Um,
I'm excited about this next one. I think we
the,
both love this next
yeah,
album.
I
I
think
didn't
that
put it in mine because I knew you were gonna put it in yours. And
so that's the reason
this
why.
this next band has a lot of good albums.
So
And
so yes,
you're more of the first album. I'm more of the second album.
let's get into it. The next album that we have is Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. And I will say this, for me personally, is just peak Panic at the Disco.
It really is.
This has so many
Thi-
great songs on there
This is Panic at the Disco.
that
Like,
I've listened to this album so many times, and it's just a weird album. Like it's a weird, like Brendan Urie was really like
they were right out of the gate.
they were right
They
out
were
of
like
the gate.
18 years old.
Yeah.
From what I understand, this was basically like an FU album to Fall Out Boy. They were like, "FU, we're better than
Mhm.
you,"
Mhm.
and then Fall Out Boy was like, "No, you're not." And then they were like, "Okay, you guys are pretty good," and they signed him.
Yeah, like when Brendan Urie's like talking about like, drag queens and
Me and my buddy, we used
like
to.
it's just like the things that they were talking about on this album
It's
seemed
very
a little promiscuous at the time.
Yeah, it was very like, oh my gosh, he's singing about things that are not very appropriate.
Yeah, or like getting lap dances and whatnot.
I do like that song.
And like taking a girl's clothes. Like when I.
Lying is the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off.
Yeah.
That is the most like promiscuous
Mm-hmm.
title of a song.
And
In 2000, what was it, 5?
yeah, the 2000.
Fact checker Mantha.
2005 or
Fact
6.
checker Mantha.
No,
Where are you at, fact checker
I
Mantha?
got it loaded up right here.
No, maybe it was like 2003.
No, this was like 2005. I want to say. Fever You Can't Sweat Out, 2005.
2005.
You're right.
Okay,
You're
first guess was better.
So it's about to be 20 years old.
and it.
Have you
no,
thought?
no. Yeah. 20
Yeah,
years
it
old.
is. 2025
And
is
it's
next
sad
year.
because there's no 20-year thing. Brendan Urie called it quits.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
I think once he gets bored with, he's got a kid. Once his kid gets old enough,
Yep.
I think he'll be like, I want to create more music.
Yep.
Whether it's Brendan Urie or Panic at the Disco,
True.
we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, this album just has held such a deep place in my heart that I pretty much know. I want to say all the lyrics onto it. I can sing the song. Like the songs never get boring. The songs are just have so much replayability, and so much so why I Write Sins Not Tragedy is now a bar anthem, and you will hear it every single night you go out to a bar. No doubt, you will always hear I Write Sins Not Tragedy, and that is just kind of like the bar song now that you will hear people blast from their speakers.
Okay, but when you sing it, you got to go, you said it, not me, instead of saying,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the line. But yeah, this album is just fantastic. I like this album.
And
If I will probably ask another question a little bit later. But yeah, this is my album to have. What, you got something else said?
I was just going to say, it seemed like it was a competition between them and Fall Out Boy of who could have the longer name of a song.
No.
Song
Yeah.
title, like
Yeah, they were fighting there for
uh,
a little bit.
yeah, it's like
Their
I
whole
constantly
history.
thank God for Esteban. There's a reason these tables are numbered, honey.
Yeah.
And then you got Fallout Boy. This ain't a scene; it's an arms race, right? Is that
I
what it's
think
called?
I think my favorite video was when Fall Out Boy was getting back together for another album, and I think on the Fueled by Ramen YouTube page, they came out with a video of Brendan Urie explain the whole history of Fall Out Boy while he's just completely
Drunk.
smashed.
Yeah, I've seen that
He is
video.
completely smashed, and he is just like giving the whole history of Fall Out Boy,
It's so
and
funny.
it is the funniest
It is
video.
funny.
Just he starts like laughing. He starts laughing in the middle of it, and he just. It's just a great video
Hey,
to watch.
So, question:
Mm.
Who do you think ended up being bigger? Fallout Boy found Panic at the Disco.
Ooh.
Like I think it was Pete from Fallout Boy found them.
Mm.
But who do you think ended up being bigger? Because they both had hit songs.
I want to say, in the long run of it, I want to say Fall Out Boy.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
they've had more radio hits.
I want to say Fall Out Boy.
They've had multiple
way
albums.
more radio hits.
I think there was just too big of a gap between Panic
Yeah.
from Sins to
Mhm.
High Hopes.
High
was
Hope,
like
yeah.
5 albums later.
Yeah.
And that's not a shot at Panic. Like they've had a lot of great
No,
songs. Like,
no,
I
and
love
there's
Panic.
there's definitely songs on this album that shouldn't be radio bangers. Only I Write Sins Not Tragedy really broke out and was the only song to really kind of go anywhere.
It was about the only really
Yeah,
somewhat appropriate
Exactly.
song.
And then like later on, then we got 9 in the Afternoon blew up.
But we'll talk about that.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that
in
a little
the
bit
other
later.
9 by
But
9.
I will digress. I will go to my next album, and that is Daft Punk Discovery. Discovery by Daft Punk. One of their first albums, I'm pretty sure. They might have come out with some other. They might have come out with some other albums a little bit earlier in their career, but I think that was before they were known as the Daft Punk, the two people that wear helmets on their head. Sadly, they are no more. But this is their first big album, and this album is just a whirl. This album's awesome. I remember back in the day, they with this album coming out, they actually came out with a animated episodes to come out with every single one of these songs that they released on this album. It was really cool. It was really cool, and me being a young kid, this album came out in 2001, and I had no idea what was going on. They were just showing these like blue Martian people on the screen, just like music videos on like Toonami or whatever, and I had no idea what was going on. But they were playing the Daft Punk movie on there, which was this whole entire album. And I just got to say, this album is absolutely fantastic. Definite Daft Punk, just they don't miss in my eyes. They're just one of those bands that they were really ahead of their time. And personally, for me, I think this album has a ton of longevity because I feel like this album can't be really outdated because it just sounds futuristic. The Discovery is definitely one of those top albums for me too. Daft Punk, yeah. I just wish we would have more Daft Punk music. Sad to see them call it quits back in 2021, even though they weren't coming out with music at that time at all. It was kind of weird how they just kind of broke it off in 2021 and just said no more Daft Punk. But I really wish they would have like some sort of reunion. And now what they're starting to do is they're starting to re-release their 2013 album as like anniversary editions and like different editions of that, and I feel like it kind of ruins that album because I think that album is also really solid. But yeah, this album's awesome. This album's great. I big fan. Do you like Josh? How are you feeling about the Daft Punk? How you feeling? Have you listened to
Um,
very? I know I bought you. I actually bought him
yeah,
a
you
Daft
listen.
Punk vinyl for
Yeah, you
Christmas.
got me a Daft Punk
I
vinyl.
bought him
It's
a
good.
Ram, the final one.
Yeah, it's
That Daft
good.
Punk.
You
Yeah,
know, it's.
it.
I try to broaden my horizon.
I think Daft Punk. It is. If you like that kind of music, you like that kind of music. If you don't, you don't. It just depends on your music. But for me personally, I think yeah, this album I could play all the
So let
time.
me ask you something. Um, so this happens sometimes. You've listened to Daft Punk for a long time.
Mm,
How do you feel about the fans? Like, and I could talk about this about Panic at the Disco. How do you feel when they have a radio hit and all of a sudden you get like all these like fans that are just like, "Oh, I love Daft Punk," and they're like, "Because I know Get Lucky."
mm,
I mean,
so
it's great publicity for the band, but then don't you feel like I don't know, when I listen to Panic at the Disco, I'm like, yeah, but you guys didn't listen to the last 5 albums before High Hopes came out. You know what I mean?
I don't
Four albums.
I don't really see that. I don't think that ever happened for Daft Punk. I think
Well, yeah, they had one big radio
people
hit.
no, they actually had two radio
What was
big.
okay? They
Actually,
had Get Lucky. What
they've
was the
had
other one?
multiple radio hits
Okay,
actually.
okay.
So
What were the other ones? I'm
their
sorry.
first, I want to say their first like major radio hit was with Kanye West,
Okay,
Power. Or not power. Sorry, not powered. Sorry. A harder, better, faster, stronger.
Stronger. It's
That
just
was their
Stronger.
first radio hit.
Wait,
But
they were in there?
stronger was Kanye West's song, and he actually sampled Daft Punk, and they were the background of harder, better, faster, stronger was a sample of the background of that song,
Oh,
and so they were also
well,
credited for that. So
I think they should have
technically,
gave him a little more credit because I
that
didn't
was
even
the
know
radio.
that.
See, but that's the thing with Daft Punk is they're just kind of the background music. They are the guy. They're on the sits. They're all making the cool music. They're doing all that stuff, but they aren't really the forefront for the audience to listen to. It is more the two radio hits that they've had the most recent when their newest album came out was with Pharrell Williams. Get Lucky,
Get Lucky, yeah.
and then Starboy by The Weeknd.
What?
Yeah,
They were in
yeah,
Starboy?
Starboy. Yeah, they were the.
Why didn't they credit them better?
They are just those kind of background artists that
They don't give them much credit. 'Cause I
They
did
were
not know
definitely
they were
there, and they actually made the whole soundtrack to the Tron Legacy movie as well too. Um, that movie's pretty solid, and I love the soundtrack of that movie because it is Daft Punk, and Daft Punk's awesome. Um, they're more just the background characters. They are there, but I think it's the main artists like Pharrell Williams and The Weeknd are the primary show, so they don't want to interfere that much. I know they've won some Grammys. They've won some Grammys. They've won some definite awards. They are definitely up there in the artist industry.
Yeah, I've heard people talk really,
Yeah.
really high about
Yeah,
Daft Punk.
they are one of my favorite bands. I just wish more music would come from them.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. Kind of sad. All right, so enough gushing about Daft Punk.
What's the next one?
Next one.
Getting into my era.
Yeah, we're getting back to your
I
era.
love the 90s.
If you want to go back to '92,
I love the 90s.
with Pearl Jam's breakthrough album. I think it's just
Self-titled? I think it's a
Is it
self-titled.
just self-titled?
I think it's a self-titled. Or is it actually the Even Flow album? I don't remember what.
I don't
I had this
remember.
album on CD. I got it at Goodwill.
Yeah,
for
I don't
50 cents.
remember exactly. I don't know if it's just self-titled. Yeah, just 10.
Oh,
10.
it's called 10.
It's called 10.
Yes, 10 by Pearl Jam.
Yeah, 10 is there. Actually, 91. 91 is when
Oh,
they
so
came
they're
out.
deep into
It-
the grunge.
Oh yeah, they're
Them
like
and Nirvana.
they're
Nirvana.
30 odd years old now. They're it's crazy.
Them, Nirvana, and Alice in Chains. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and only two of those bands. Well,
Only
yeah, Pearl Jam just came
one-
out with a new album, I think, recently, or
Only.
Metallica did. I don't remember.
Wait, who did I say? I said
Well,
Pearl
'cause
Jam,
you said Nirvana, and
and
Nirvana's
Alice
no
in
more.
Chains. Only one lead singer still alive. Sadly.
That's true. That's also true.
Eddie Vedder's the only one.
That's true. Yep, only one will survive. So Pearl Jam, 10. This album holds a lot of nostalgia for me.
Same.
A lot of nostalgia. I think primarily where this album gives me the most nostalgia is from Guitar Hero.
Even flow or what? Black? Which song was on there?
I think a lot of these songs were actually on Guitar Hero.
Maybe Jeremy.
Um, I think, I think like four of them. Four of them.
Pretty sure Jeremy,
Yeah,
Black,
Jeremy was on
Even
there.
Flow.
I
Was there
think
one
Even
more?
Flow. I think Alive was on there too.
Oh, Alive, yes.
Yeah. Why Go? I think was also probably on there. I don't think Porch was on there. But yeah, this was just a very oh man, when Pearl Jam came out on the scene, they were just like doing it different. They were kind of that grungy
Grungy,
kind of like
whiny.
yeah, a little whiny, but the guy, I like his voice is
I like
pretty
grunge.
it's you can very like kind of make fun of it a little bit, as I've done probably multiple times. But just something about it is just so catchy, it's so grungy. And then you have like those melody songs like when Black comes on, that song hits you.
Oh yeah.
That song hits
Oh
you,
yeah.
and especially like the guitar solos in that song,
Mhm.
just like they let the instruments roll for like a minute straight, and it just like a transcendental kind of moment where you're just like, oh my god, like they're putting their heart and soul into the song. It's just an amazing kind of album, and I'd say there's a lot of bangers on this album that still persist to this day that you hear on all the rock stations and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely Even Flow.
You hear Even Flow on.
Even
I
Flow.
I hear Black on there all the time. I'm pretty sure Even Flow was actually on the. It was like one of the title songs for Guitar Hero 3. I'm pretty sure, where you would hear it like all the time playing on the main screen.
3? Yeah, I think that
I
makes
think
sense.
so. I don't think it was
Gods of
2. I think it
Rock.
was 3. Um,
Mm,
But yeah,
that's a good
this album
question.
just has a lot of really good bangers on there, a lot of really good songs on there. They were kind of a dark horse for me. I've listened to a fair bit of Pearl Jam's catalog, but I would say over the years I have grown to like them a little bit more than I have as a kid. And if it's a Pearl Jam song, I usually listen. I usually I'm like, oh, this song's pretty yeah, this it's classic Pearl Jam.
I like Eddie Vedder mainly
Yep.
because he's a Chicago Cubs fan.
Ah, that's
When during the
where
World
that's where the
Series during the
line
World
comes
Series in
through.
2016, he was
Oh,
at like every game.
I see. Okay. Pearl Jam, yeah, great band. I don't think I have to say anymore. Their legacy holds up.
All right.
They're
Yeah,
good.
I agree.
Okay, so this next one, do you know what this next one is? Do you know? Have you ever seen this next one?
I'm looking at it and I'm
This
not
is
sure.
there's like a boy laying in a field. So this is an album called Nurture by Porter Robinson. Porter Robinson. He is a like an kind of an EDM kind of artist. Um, he is a great artist that kind of broke out in these last kind of 10-ish years, maybe 15 years. Um, he's got really amazing songs. I think for when he kind of appeared into my mind was a song called Shelter. It came out, it had like an animated video to go along with it, and people watched this video and their mind were blown. They're like, "Oh my god, this is just a 5-minute video and not like a full show or whatever." It kind of like I feel like put people on Porter Robinson a lot, put me on Porter Robinson. But this is Porter Robinson's I think third album. I could be wrong, could be his second one. It took him 7 years to create this album, and this music is just downright magical. This whole album is just magical. It's one of these albums that you really put on a pair of headphones and you will just be transported to another realm pretty much. It is one of those like
I like that kind of music.
the has it has pianos on there, it has different melodies that just kind of sway you a little bit. It makes you feel like you're being transported to another world. It's very otherworldly. I like the concepts that they were putting on this album. Um, yeah, it just Porter Robinson. He's really had some good music, and luckily, this came out in 2022, I think, 2022, and luckily it didn't take him so long to come out with another album, which actually just dropped this year. So he was pretty on top of it. It didn't take 7 years for another album to come out. Wait, did this? This might have came out last year. So 3 years, 3 years for a new album. But yeah, this is just a feel good album. I find there's not a lot of skippable songs. There might be one or two there, but there's one song I want to highlight. Something comforting is on here, and that is a very kind of duality song that has really nice piano chords on it, and just kind of a banger that has a lot of good drops. A lot of good drops. Okay, Nurture by Porter Robinson, very good. All right, this next one. Do you have any idea who this next one is? A red
You
guy.
know,
A red guy on there.
I'm not sure.
So you might know him by his other alias. Do you know Filthy Frank? Have you heard of a
No.
Filthy Frank before? So Filthy Frank, aka Joji, aka this album I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah,
It's
I know
called
by Joji.
Nectar. Nectar is this album. So he once was known as Filthy Frank, and he was a known internet prankster. He was known as the pink guy because he would wear a pink suit all the time and do these outrageous things all the time and
I
take
do
over.
recognize Joji as one.
So,
He's one of your
okay, so he was
favorite
known as
artists.
Filthy Frank, but that era is far past him. He is then expanded out into his music career, and his music that he has is very almost kind of sad white boy music a little bit. Not like what you're thinking. It's very influenced. It has a lot of good kind of hip hop beats on there. Um, I actually saw this guy in concert when he was playing all these songs, and he's amazing in concert. Um, he just has some good vibes of a song. I would like to highlight a song called "Normal People" on there. Uh, that song is really amazing. I just like vibing out to that song while like in the darkness with my windows down, just arm out the window, not have a care in the world. It's just a vibe of a song. Um, there's a few other songs on there that I like listening to. TikToks on there, which that was actually before TikTok, which was kind of weird. Before TikTok all blew up, it's
It
weird
is kinda
to have a
weird.
TikTok song. This was actually, fun fact. This was the second album I've ever had on vinyl. This was the second
That
one.
doesn't surprise me.
My
Though, as you
first
do
one
love
was
Joji.
Discovery by Daft Punk. That was my first
That
one.
makes sense.
Yeah. Joji, he's an incredible artist. Even better in concert. And this album, I'd say right now of the Joji albums, I would say this is peak ones. His other ones that he's comes out with, they're a little short, but there's some still pretty solid stuff on his albums. But Joji, yeah.
I'm
He-
really
he-
curious about number 9. I thought it was
Ah,
Childish Gambino,
so
and I was wrong.
number nine. Number nine is actually, believe it or not, it is an older version of The Weeknd.
Ah,
That
damn it.
is The Weeknd.
It's the
not-
weekend.
and
I
not,
was so
not
close.
Donald
I thought it was
Glover.
Childish Gambino.
Not Donald Glover. It is The Weeknd.
That makes sense.
Um,
If I had to guess two artists, I would
thi-
say they're Childish Gambino or The Weeknd.
This is The Weeknd's, I'm pretty sure, his newest album. He hasn't come out with since. Dawn FM. And this song, this album is just like way different than what The Weeknd has ever put out. Because The Weeknd was known as more of a like a slow beat kind of, like he still has all the slow beats on here, but his music I would akin to more bedroom music, to put it lightly. Like
Fuckboy music or
yeah, a lot of songs that you would hear probably at the club.
club
like
music? Okay.
Yeah, but very not very friendly for other people. But
Oh.
this album completely changed it Because the weekend he's big about talking about like sex and drugs and all that. And so that's maybe not as user friendly, but this album completely changes that to where there's a lot of songs that can go on the radio, and I personally think this is the
Um,
weekend's
what's
probably his best album
so
that
what
he has.
what songs? What's the biggest songs on that one?
I would say my favorite song on there is well, you have one called Gasoline on there. That one's pretty solid. Out of Time is one of my favorite songs on that album.
Okay.
Out of Time, it samples like an 80s Japanese band. It often gets confused on whenever the original song plays. People think they copied it from The Weeknd, even though he sampled it from that song, because it's a 1-to-1. That's the whole background of the whole entire song. But that song's just a hell of a vibe. Um, I'm blanking on songs right now. But also, what's kind of funny on this album is it has like this little bit of a storyline to it where you're starting out this album like you're listening to a radio station. It's called Dawn FM for a reason.
Right,
To
right.
where you're listening to this announcer, this smooth talker announcer,
Like a
talk
disc
to you
jockey.
at like the beginning of each song a
Like
little bit.
like a disc jockey.
Yeah, a little bit like, oh, here, you're going to be listening to 90 minutes of slow jams on 105 Dawn FM. Like he's got that smooth kind of voice. It's like it's a vibe. And funny enough, that is Jim Carrey. That is Jim Carrey on of the Mask fame of it's that Jim Carrey that does the announcing for that radio segment of
That
that
doesn't
album.
surprise me though. He can do a lot of different
And it
voices.
does not sound like it does not
He can
sound
do
like
a
him.
lot of different voices.
It does not sound like Jim Carrey at all. And I was shocked when I found out. I'm like, that is awesome. That's awesome that they got him on this album. Other bangers on this album, I would say, is there someone else that's kind of like a vibey, like like poppy kind of song. He has
Yeah.
a little Wayne feature on there. I
Oh,
heard you're
a little
married,
Wayne feature.
and that's it's kind of a
Hmm.
rapper kind of song. I would say this is the only album that I have a rap kind of feature on there, which I didn't put any rap songs or rap albums on this whole
Kind
entire.
of surprising. I thought there'd be a Drake album.
Yeah, I guess same with kind of the
What about like Take
the
Care Deluxe?
the
Like,
Post Malone kind of angle on it. I will say the same thing for Post Malone, except for this is a very different extreme. Um, when Drake stuff started coming out, I've kind of been jaded on Drake a little bit lately. A little bit,
what's your
especially
favorite
with
Drake album?
it's probably Take Care.
Take Care Deluxe.
If I
Yeah,
if I
I
if I
always say Deluxe because there's a
if I
deluxe
had to
version,
put
but
my
Take
favorite
Care,
Drake
yeah.
album, if one had to make it, if there's two things I probably would have put on this 9 by 9, it probably would have been Take Care by
I
Drake
don't think there's a Drake
and
song.
Beer
Sorry.
Bongs and Bentleys.
I don't think there's a Drake song that beats Headlines and Take Care with Rihanna. And I think that also had.
It's either Take Care or if you're listening to this, then it's too late. That's also one of my favorite albums because it has Jungle on there, which is one of my favorite Drake songs.
I think Make Me Proud is on there too, isn't it?
I
Take Care.
don't remember for sure, but yeah. So if I had a few things, if I had to put another few artists, I probably maybe would have put a Drake feature on there or a Post Malone feature. But I settled for the next best, or actually the best Canadian artist on my 9 by 9 in The Weekend. I think The Weekend actually, he spawned from Drake, but I think his music has had some really good points, and plus, The Weekend isn't going through any big controversies right now. So hopefully we keep it that way.
What is it? Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, hopefully we keep it that way.
We'll leave it at that.
So that has been my 9x9. I think now it's time to get into your 9x9.
You guys ready for this?
And I'm kind of very interested to see what he talks about because, yeah, we'll let him dive into it. All right, let's start with your first one.
Well, I just want to throw out there, it sucks because there's so many good albums, and there's bands that I love that you can only have 9 albums, and there's some that I'm thinking about now, and it's like, damn it, why didn't I put those in there? I mean, I just want to make some honorable mentions. Sometimes it's just hard to think about. It's hard to think about albums, at the very moment, and you're like, oh shoot, I forgot about this one. Like, one that comes to mind is Vessel by 21 Pilots. Is an absolutely awesome album.
Mm-hmm.
So many good songs. And I'm thinking, why the heck didn't I put that on there? There's just too many albums.
There was a lot of, when I see this list right now, there was a lot of like, he put that on there and not another album.
Well, yeah, Breaking Benjamin's another one. Dear Agony and Phobia.
Yeah, I was
both
kind
great
of
albums, and Breaking Benjamin is one of my favorite bands. But I was trying to go by like albums.
So what was
that
your
I have.
criteria? What was
My
your
criteria is albums that I have like a lot. And don't get me wrong, Phobia and Dear Agony, they have a lot of good songs, but you can only have 9 albums.
Sure.
And I was trying to go off of like albums I like now, albums I liked when I was younger. I was trying to go off of, from then to now, and there's only 9 slots.
Yeah.
And both of those are great albums, and Vessel by 21 Pilots is a great album, and there's more albums I like. There's plenty of Blink-182 albums I like. I only was able to pick one because there's only 9 spots.
The only bad part, it's a 9x9, so we have what we have right now.
It wasn't a 12x12. It was a 9x9.
12x12 would have been insane.
Yeah, that would have been too long. All right, I'm going to start off.
Yep. So what is
First
your
album would be Make Yourself by Incubus. I love Incubus. Saw them live. Was a little disappointed that they sang more of their new songs than their old ones because I feel like most people were there. Like 90s bands, you really want to hear the 90s songs, early 2000s songs, more than their new stuff. That's just my opinion. But Make Yourself was an amazing album. Obviously, Drive was a big radio hit. And then Pardon Me and Wish You Were Here were also huge.
I feel like Drive was the only one, though.
Well, yeah.
I feel like Drive was like their only...
Drive was their only radio hit.
Yeah.
But if you're a Incubus fan, you know Pardon Me and Wish You Were Here were like the...
Is this
two
their?
This was their 1999 album. They had another big one.
How many albums did they have before that? How many?
Well,
Like
I feel
one or
like they
two,
had
maybe?
one or two albums, like when they
Okay.
were not as well known.
Yeah.
Morning View. Morning View was another big album they had, and I think it was maybe 2001. That also had some big songs in it.
Yeah. The one I remember from this album was Drive.
Yeah, Drive.
I think when I saw this 3x3 that you presented, I think I've listened, I want to say, to every single one of these albums. I think.
Yeah, at least one song.
Except for the second album, which I've only heard one song for.
Yes.
But let's, do you have anything else to say on Incubus?
I just want to say, Pardon Me, Wish You Were Here. I really love the song The Warmth. Obviously not one of their more well-known songs, but and obviously Stellar is really good as well.
Right.
So good album. Obviously, if you're an Incubus fan, you love Make Yourself, and you probably love Morning View. Two great albums.
I would say on this album, it kind of had a lot of shifts in like what kind of music was on.
Well, Incubus is kind of weird because
it was kind of weird.
It's like electronic rock because it's got some like beats to it. Before people really did
I found like there was just a lot of like different kind of switches in like their music on what they were putting out. It
I'd
was
call it like
kind of.
electronic rock.
And
or
then when I
something.
heard Drive, I'm like, yeah, this is
More
like
acoustic.
this is the song that would make it out of all of these songs. But then you had like in the middle of this album, you had like a Christmas kind of like they started bringing out the bells. Do you remember that song?
Which song?
I don't remember exactly
me
what it
look,
is,
let
but
me
it's like
look.
a jazz kind of Christmas song. Um, but it's kind of a vibe. I'm not gonna lie. It's like one of their ones with no lyrics. As like it's like the middle song. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it had like all of a sudden I start listening and then I
Oh, it's
start
probably
hearing.
Make Yourself, where it sounds like they're playing some instrumental.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but yeah, it had like it started like bringing out the Christmas bells. I'm like, oh my god, it's Christmas time. What's going on?
I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about, but
um, let me be for reference. I saw this 3x3, and I've actually listened to all these albums again.
you're like, I gotta listen to these and get a
Because
feel for it.
I wanted to see. I'm like, huh, interesting. Let me listen to them. The only one I didn't re-listen to was Demon Days and Pretty Odd. That was the only one. Those are the only two. But all the other ones I listened to, and so yeah, you wanna
Okay,
go
so
for
album
your
number
next one?
2, Sun and the Moon. The Sun and the Moon by the Bravery. They're more of an indie rock band.
Mm.
They were, I don't know. I feel like if you were kind of a hipster
Mm-hmm.
in when I was in high school, I mean, it was cool to know who the Bravery was.
I think this band was like 2007.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like in 2011 to 2014 when I was
Uh-huh.
in high school, if you knew who the Bravery was, you were like cool because you knew who the Bravery was and they
Mhm.
were like indie rock and people didn't know
Mm.
who they were. The reason I knew who they were is because of MVP Baseball 2005.
Oh,
An
okay.
Honest Mistake. It's
Mhm.
actually from their self-titled album,
Yep.
but um Believe by the Bravery is probably their biggest song.
Yeah.
Most
It,
people would say they know that song.
I think that was the only song I knew out of the whole entire album.
Now, I will say, "This Is Not the End"
Yeah.
is a good song. I believe that's the one. No, "Time Won't Let Me Go" is another big one.
That
And
was
he kind of
also
references.
yeah, I think I remember that song
He kind of
too.
references the movie The Outsiders. Like he
Oh,
talks
yeah.
about how he never had a Cherry Valance of his own, which I think is really cool. And yeah, just kind of a smaller,
Yeah.
lesser known indie rock band. They're touring again. Actually, they got back
I
together.
actually yeah, I forgot about the Bravery for a while because I only heard one song from them. And then yeah, it took them a long time. I think they
They
disbanded in
broke
like
up. He started a
2013 or
band
whatever.
called the Mercy Beat,
Hmm.
and they got back together and started touring. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
they don't really tour the Midwest. So
Well, because yeah, they
more
they
East Coast, West
I think
Coast.
2021 they announced that they were getting back together, and then yeah, so they tour again. I mean that's good.
Yeah, because I was kind of following because their website
Uh huh.
when I was like high school, I think they said they were on hiatus,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're touring again. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, more East Coast, West Coast. They don't
Sure.
really hit the middle,
Well, good thing they're back.
the Midwest. But yeah, they're back,
Yeah,
and
they're back.
if they were ever like opening for someone, I would definitely go see them because I think
Hmm.
they're really good.
Okay.
Third album.
Now this is an album.
Yes,
This
I'm
is
pretty
an
sure this
album.
was the first CD I ever owned.
This is
One
the-
X by 3 Days Grace.
Yeah, this is an album.
I mean, this
for
was
sure.
not 3 Days Grace's first album, but it was probably their biggest album.
Oh my! I re-listened to this album and back to back to back.
Oh
to
yeah,
back.
every song on there is
All
good.
the songs just like, oh my god, these songs blew up, and these songs were massive.
And I mean, if you're younger,
Yeah.
you've heard the newer 3 Days Grace with the guy from My Darkest Days.
Mm.
We're talking Adam Gontier, the original singer. He actually just rejoined the band. They're going on tour, and might have to go see him.
Mm-hmm.
But 1X, man, just a banger of an album.
Yeah, I think I remember listening to a lot of this album, like probably playing Call of Duty Zombies.
Like, they had one radio hit, Never
think-
Too Late.
Yep.
But that's not even like I don't even listen. I don't even mess with that song. Like,
Wait, never do. But I feel like all these songs blew up in some sort of
yeah,
aspect.
I mean everybody knows the song Riot.
Yeah,
Like, let's start a riot. Let's start a
Yeah,
riot.
yeah, yeah.
Animal I Have Become,
Yep.
also a big song.
Yeah, I think all of these songs, like not a lot, like I think like 4 of these songs out of this catalog of albums,
I just like
blew up.
throw out that I also like On My Own, and I really like Over and Over. Those are also really good songs. I mean, it's just a great album. I mean, 3 Days Grace, I mean, you really can't go wrong if you listen to any of their old albums with Adam, all the way up to Transit of Venus. Obviously, after that is, I think his name's Matt Walsh from My Darkest Days. I think he's related to one of the band members in 3 Days Grace, and he became the lead singer. And now they're co-headlining, or not co-headlining, co-touring with Adam and Matt. So get the best of both worlds. I got to see them on their Transit of Venus tour. Unfortunately, Adam had just left the band, but he is back now, so it might be worth going to see him. 3 Days Grace, great album.
Right.
First CD I had.
Yeah, I totally agree. This album's iconic.
First album I had.
Yeah, it's an amazing album.
Fourth album. Oh man, this is one of my favorite albums.
I don't think they need any introduction, really. You know,
another '90s band.
Right.
Third Eye Blind. Love Third Eye Blind.
Yep.
Seen them live. I just love them. My dad had this CD, their self-titled album.
I always thought this album cover was so creepy.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I thought it was like satanic or something. So that led me not to listen to Third Eye Blind for a long time.
My dad had this album, and I mean, also listening to the radio. I mean, if you listen to the radio in the early 2000s, you were gonna hear Jumper or Semi-Charmed Life.
Yeah.
Also on there, Narcolepsy, awesome song. Obviously, Graduate and How It's Going to Be, big songs as well.
Yeah.
I just love Third Eye Blind.
It is kind of weird how Jumper became such a huge song that it did, because it talks about such a dark theme.
Well, it's also like trying to help someone in their darkest days. Like, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend.
Yeah, which I'm like, man, that's that's kind of crazy that this song blew up out of but it just had the right.
My
favorite
favorite part of the song, my favorite part of Jumper is, everyone's got to face down the demons. You know, I love that part.
Yeah, but like Semi-Charmed Life too. That.
Well, and when I found out what that song was about, it was kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna throw out there what it's about.
No.
You got to listen closely. My dad was shocked too, because he used to listen to a lot of Third Eye Blind because obviously he owned this album. But great band. I got to see him a couple years ago, still touring. If you have the chance, go see them.
Free promotion.
Yeah, love Third Eye Blind. I could listen to Third Eye Blind all day, every day. Same with the next band as well.
Oh yeah, quite a definitely an album for the days.
Next band, next album, Enema of the State by Blink-182. I mean, I think we can all agree a lot of people like Blink-182, and I love Blink-182 as well. This album had arguably their biggest song on it.
Yeah.
All the Small Things. Not my favorite Blink song.
This album's kind of weird. Right? It talks about
well, another good song on there is Adam's song.
Yeah.
That was about Mark Hoppus when he was on tour. I think he got really depressed but he made it through.
Yeah.
But yeah, real sad song.
So
Adam's song.
the standout songs on this this album is What's My Age Again?
Yeah, What's My Age Again? Another big one. Adam's song.
And then All the Small Things.
All the Small Things. I also like Going Away to College. That's
right.
a big one.
Yeah, that's a
I feel like maybe that was I don't know if that one was an American Pie or if it was a different one.
I don't remember for sure. But yeah, this all the thing I wrote down for this album was like them really like, man.
This was their moment when they made it, is what I would say.
They're like, man, mom and dad are such a drag.
Yeah,
like
that,
they're
but
kind of angsty a little bit, you know.
true.
Like, oh, women, they suck. You know, it's
Yeah.
like they're kind of like, but that's like their brand a little bit.
They're
like,
punk rockers.
yeah,
you
they're
know?
punk
they're against the
rockers.
establishment.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where I think they kind of made it.
Yeah,
Like, maybe people would disagree with me, but I think this is where they made it.
because this is their third studio album.
Yeah.
This is where they
They
kind of
had,
started finding their ground
Dude
in
Ranch,
what they were
and they had
coming
another
out
one,
with.
I believe.
Yeah. This album, yeah, it's definitely pretty solid. There is some definitely questionable lines on some of these songs.
Yeah, I mean, I had
but
to kind of...
you know, it's
And it's hard because I like a lot of different Blink-182. So it's like you got to pick one album, just
Yeah.
throw them in there. But they have a
Exactly.
lot of different good songs from
Yep.
different albums.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
This next album,
Now this shocked
this
shocked
one
me.
everybody knows.
This
was
shocked
one of-
me that this was on your list.
Well, when I was in middle school,
Hmm.
I was a huge fan of this band,
And who
this
might
album,
that be?
This album is nostalgia at its finest.
Mm.
All the Right Reasons by Nickelback is arguably their biggest album. A lot of people would say Dark
is-
Horse is a really good album, but
Is
all
that
the
is that the one with you? That's what you remind me of. Is that
No,
has that album on
How
there?
You Remind Me
Yeah,
was
what
from
was that one on?
actually from an earlier album.
That was an earlier album.
Than All the Right Reasons.
So it was
now,
kind-
Dark Horse, I think, was the album after, which had This Afternoon, and it had Something in Your Mouth, and it
Yeah.
had...
So this was Nickelback's
This was their
fifth
this is their
studio
bread and
album.
butter.
This was their fifth studio album,
Mm,
which is crazy.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, this was their fifth one.
But this was their bread and butter.
This
because
was
this
the
had-
one that has the most.
This is what
longevity.
made them. Well, no, How You Remind Me got them big, and there was another one, I think,
But-
Someday.
I want to say if you reference a lot of Nickelback songs,
This
you're
is
probably
when they
thinking
had
about
like
this
one hit after another.
Exactly.
All the Right Reasons. You got Photograph, Rockstar,
Mm.
Far Away, Saving Me, If Everyone Cared, and Animals is a little bit dirty.
It's
It's a little dirty.
I listened to that song again, and I'm like, oh
It's
boy.
about the dad catching you with his daughter. That's not very appropriate.
Yeah,
but
that one. And then you had like the one where what's that next? The next one up or whatever, where he's fighting people at a bar trying to hit on his chick. There's like the
Ooh.
next contestant, I think it's called.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That's the one where I'm like, oh, he's like. I'm
yeah,
like,
his girlfriend's getting hit
yeah,
on
his
at the
girlfriend's
bar,
getting hit
and he's
on,
like,
so he's just gonna
he's
beat
watching-
people up that are gonna.
Well, I think she was beating him up.
I
think
thought
she
I
was
thought
beating-
he was doing it.
I thought she was like kicking their butts.
Maybe I
but
misinterpreted that song, but
yeah, that was a big Nickelback album.
yeah, and I don't see where they get all the hate. Really,
I don't either. Like a lot of
I don't
bands,
really
a
get
lot
it.
of bands like Breaking Benjamin, even all their songs sound the same or similar.
Yeah, and Nickelback.
Maybe it's
I thi-
because they were trying to hit the radio. Like
yeah, I think a lot of
I
that.
think mainstream rock bands get a lot of hate because they make radio friendly rock
Yep.
songs,
Yep.
and then the people that don't are like, "Whoa, you're making radio friendly rock songs." And
Because
it's
the
like, why wouldn't you? That's how you make
the
money.
radio hits on this album. I think are so tonally different than what Nickelback is known for, you know, as a rock band, you know. And then when you release Photograph, it's kind of like that's different. You
Okay,
know?
but then I feel like Nickelback thought they had to like make up for doing that,
yeah,
and they put out some really
Yeah,
garbage
yeah.
rock. Like, no offense, like I love Nickelback and I loved them when I was in middle school, but like after that, I feel like they felt like they had something to prove, so then they went to hard rock,
yeah,
that wasn't radio friendly?
Wasn't the play?
and
Wa-
it just was not good.
No. Yeah, but yeah, this album definitely lives in infamy as having some of the best Nickelback songs.
Oh yeah,
to
and
this
Dark
date
Horse
on there.
after that was
Yeah.
still good,
Yeah, true.
and even Here and Now had a few good songs.
Yeah, they've all had a few songs that are pretty solid, but this one definitely solidified them, if I had to say.
Yeah.
So, wanna tell us about this next one?
So I think earlier we were talking about positive music, and
Yep.
I think this album is the definition of positive music.
This is Your Nurture, to me.
If you're having a bad day, you
Yeah.
can listen to this band and think, I feel better now.
And it's funny that we put them in the same exact spot too as our feel good albums that are right in the 9th spot. Or in the the 7th spot. The 7th spot.
So I picked
it's kind of crazy.
He has a lot of good songs, and
so
I say
who is this? Who is this?
Adam Young. He's the only member of Owl City.
Owl
And
City.
Owl City is basically a solo artist. I mean, he has a band sometimes that performs them,
Yes.
but it's just him.
Yes.
And I picked Ocean Eyes because it's kind of looking like he has a lot of good albums, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like you gotta, like I said, I wanted to pick the one that had the most hits that I felt like I liked.
He's talking to a lot of animals in this album. He's like saying hi to like manta rays and like becoming birds, and
He's such a good.
he's got
guy.
a very interesting way of
And-
singing because he's like really enunciating. Like he puts
Well-
like a whimsical like very accentuates
I
his
gotta-
music lines.
I gotta give Adam Young respect because first of all, he's from
Yeah.
the Midwest.
Yep.
He's from Minnesota. He was born in Ottumwa, Iowa, which we're from Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're from South Dakota.
Yeah.
I was.
I was
we were-
born in I was born in Iowa.
I was born in South Dakota.
Oh,
Lived in Iowa.
the duality.
He was born in Iowa.
The
Lived in South Dakota.
duality, yes.
We're all from the Midwest.
Yes,
he was
yes.
born in Ottumwa. He was
Ottumwa.
raised in Minnesota.
Yes.
And then first of all, that gets me right there. A
Yes.
Midwest guy making it.
Yes.
And he's very positive in his music. If you're having a bad
Mhm.
day, listen to some Adam Young.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think the you're the bird and I'm the worm. I think that's another.
that is a good one.
That's a good song if you
That
want
is
to
a good
listen
one.
to. Yeah,
A lot of his big songs are on this album, like Fireflies was
I
the
think
radio
that's his
hit.
biggest one.
If you're an Owl City fan, you would know his biggest songs are
Yeah.
also on this album.
Yep.
Dental Care is really good.
Dental Care.
and,
Yeah.
God, I can't think of it now.
I
The
know, right?
Twilight. God, I'm having a brain fart.
Mm.
But his biggest songs are on this album. I don't really listen to the big ones. My
Yeah.
favorite album, or my favorite songs from the album,
Mm.
would be Cave In and The Saltwater Room. I
Okay.
love The Saltwater Room.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite Owl City song.
Yeah.
and
That's
Meteor
very
Shower,
pretty song.
Meteor Shower is really good, and The Tip of the Iceberg is really cool. I really like The Tip of the Iceberg because he's like talking about skating through Nebraska and
It's always funny when I listen to like these albums again and I heard the radio hit. I just couldn't help but to laugh. Just like when Fireflies came on, I just started laughing.
Yeah, and that's
I'm
like
like,
the-
Fireflies.
and that's like the song I listen to the least because he has so many good songs.
Exactly.
Um,
I will say he's a great artist, and he actually branched off into very like his new band Sky Sailing, which isn't new anymore, but
it's like a little side project.
it's his
some
side
extra
project, but
songs.
he doesn't really sing under Owl City anymore. He is a more independent now,
Well, he
right?
had a-
Or
he had
does
an
he
album-
does he come back
he had an
with Owl
album
City?
last year.
With Owl City?
Yeah,
I thought he was just independent now.
Sky Sailing was actually just like extra songs he had one time.
Yeah, but he still I think he
last
still
year
does
he
stuff with
came out-
Sky Sailing, doesn't he?
He came out with a new album last year
Oh.
under Owl City. Had some good songs like Under the Circus Lights, The Tornado.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some.
I
good
didn't
songs.
know he still posted under the Owl City moniker.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know that.
it would be insane not to. Like,
Sure,
that's
the
where he's
brand
mostly known.
recognition, just like unlike
Yeah, but
Brendan
he's-
Urie.
Yeah, I just Adam Young, man, Midwest guy. He was a UPS driver making music in his in his parents' house in his basement. And next thing you know, he's making it
He
big.
made it big.
And just really pure music, in my opinion. Like, if you're religious, if you're not religious, I'm in the middle. Like, a little, I don't get too. I'm
Yeah,
a little
because doesn't he
religious.
do more Christian
He's
kind of
very
rock
religious,
kind of music now?
like-
A little bit.
I'm not like a hard religious.
Yeah.
But he has some really good songs. Like,
You're a
I think
soft
it's called
religious.
Angel on a different album. Yeah, some people don't like that. I'm glad he does it. It's really positive,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
He puts out some really good
yeah,
music.
and this song was this whole album was very like whimsy, magical kind of.
This is probably his best album.
Yeah, it was a very it is a very solid album. I had a few chuckles. I had like a few of that getaway kind of like it's a pretty all right album.
Yeah,
This
good
next
album.
album though is definitely probably one of both your and I's favorite when it comes to their
Right.
catalog. You want to introduce it?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy for bands. You wouldn't. It's crazy because this band is a 3D band. It's basically an art project / band.
I don't know if they need much introduction, really.
Yeah,
They're
Gorillaz.
pretty big.
The
Yeah,
Gorillaz.
the Gorillas. Yeah.
I think a lot of people know who they are.
Yeah.
It's the animated band.
Yep.
3D, Murtaugh.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of people know who
The
they
Gorillaz
are. And
are,
Demon Days is probably their biggest album, I would think. They have a lot of good albums.
Yeah.
D-Days.
Yeah,
or
if
not
I
D-Days,
had to say,
D-Sides.
I'm pretty sure Plastic Beach.
Plastic Beach was a good album.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one had some good. But I want to say, yeah, this one probably had their biggest song on there.
Feel Good Incorporated,
Yep, Feel
Dirty
Good
Harry.
Inc. Yep. Clint Eastwood, I'm pretty sure was on here too, or
I
was
think
on
that
D?
was on
Was on D sides?
I think that was on a different one.
Was not Clint? Was Clint Eastwood not on this one?
No, I was looking today.
Or maybe it was on D sides.
Feel Good Incorporated and Dirty Harry.
Oh, Dirty Harry. That's what I'm thinking.
Kids
Clint
with
Eastwood.
Guns is also a good song.
That is a good one.
I love Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head. It's kind of a dark song. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Kind of like it. So,
yeah.
the Gorillas.
The Gorillas.
And-
yeah.
Yes. Murtaugh would say, "Thank you for supporting Gorillas."
Didn't you get a good message from the
Yes, on
Gorillas at one point?
Spotify. I was a top listener a couple years ago, and Murtaugh said, "Thank you for supporting Gorillas."
Oh, Clint Eastwood was on their debut album. Oh,
Which-
my.
Which
that
one
was
that?
that was just their self-titled Gorillas album.
Pretty sure I have that on vinyl.
Yeah, they were in their camo car.
Oh yeah. I thought that
Yeah.
album was called Rock the House, but I guess that was their.
They're just self-titled. Yeah, just self-titled.
Yeah, I do have that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a few.
I forgot. I thought that
Gorillaz
came
on
out on
vinyl.
Demon Days. Yeah, I guess it's not. But yeah, Gorillas. Yeah, fantastic band. Yeah, they have such amazing music.
Yeah,
and
even
then
even
plus,
Cracker
yeah,
Island has some good ones.
Yeah,
Their latest
feel
album.
Good Incorporated. Yeah, it's still one of those songs where you can just
Nostalgic.
you hear that bass and you're like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
you're getting it. All right.
Okay, number 9.
Yep. You had to draw a line somewhere between.
Panic at the Disco.
Yep.
It's gonna be number 2. The second album, Pretty Odd.
Mm.
Mainly because I
So
love listening.
yeah, why this one?
Love.
You've gushed about this album to me
Love
before.
listening to this album on vinyl.
Yes.
And I think it probably fits as one of their best vinyl albums because it's it's slower songs.
I also have this on vinyl as well.
A lot of good songs. Their biggest one, probably 9 in the Afternoon.
Yes.
But some of the good ones, Northern Downpour, When the Day Met the Night, She Had the World, and Mad as Rabbits.
Don't you like Sarah's song on here too?
Sarah's
Or is that another album?
Sarah Smiles is
Or Sarah
actually
Smiles, I
on
should say.
the 4th album.
Is it on their 4th album?
Yeah,
I could've
it
swore
would
was.
be-
I guess I haven't listened to Pretty Odd that much.
Vices and Virtues?
Was that
No,
Vices
no,
and
that's
Virtues?
third album.
Third album. Okay, so it was the one after
Sorry,
this album.
Sorry, third
Okay,
album.
my
Sorry,
bad.
Brendan Urie. Third album, Vices and Virtues,
My
Sarah
bad.
Smiles,
My
Sarah
bad.
Urie. Congratulations to them on their kid. But
But Pretty Odd. So
Pretty Odd. It was a pretty odd album.
Yeah.
After Fever,
Yep.
it was pretty weird.
So for this album,
From what I read, they created a whole album. They
Yeah.
stayed in a cabin. The whole band stayed in a cabin
Mhm.
in the mountains by themselves, came up with a whole album, scrapped it, didn't
Yeah.
like it.
Yep.
And they came up with a whole new album, and that's what we got. Pretty Odd. And I like it. You know, I like it. A lot of strings. Very
Yeah.
different from the first album.
Oh,
not as
way
dirty.
different. Way
Not
different.
as dirty.
Yeah.
Not that I cared about that, but just very different, very slow. He really doesn't. When he did tour, he really didn't play many songs from.
Now, I have a
Pretty
question.
Odd.
I have a question.
Okay.
Would you say this would be a considerable fall off from Fever You Can't Sweat Out to Pretty Odd from what people expected Panic at the Disco to be at the
I
time?
mean, if
Because
you were,
when you're coming from a Fever You Can't Sweat Out,
if you
all
like that high
those-
energy
yeah,
first album, then you were probably a little bit surprised.
yeah, you
when
were
Pretty Odd
probably
came out.
pretty.
When I
like,
listened to it
what?
the first time, I was like, "What in the hell is this?"
Yeah, because the only song I really knew on here was "Night in the Afternoon." That was like their big
'Cause
radio hit.
I'm not gonna lie, because album number 3 goes back to that high energy
Yep.
on a lot of them.
Yep,
So this album was kind of a.
it was a weird in between.
It was kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, but that's still not discounting it.
It's
still
still
I
a
still
great
think
album.
this
It's
album
still a
has some
great
very
album.
good songs on it. Very good.
Still
very
a
good,
great album. Just I think
songs.
they tried to throw people off or something because they were like.
It was just a weird time. It was a weird
And
time to be a Panic fan.
Also, gotta appreciate
middle.
that this is the last album with the whole band together.
Mm.
Pretty sure third album, 2 people left. There was still 2 people still in the band.
Yep, yep.
And I think, yeah, sadly,
You could say it was pretty odd.
it was pretty
it
odd.
was
In
very
fact,
pretty odd.
I also consider myself to be pretty odd. So there's been many a time when I thought about maybe getting
so it
pretty
fits
odd
you to a
tattooed
T.
somewhere.
Fits you to a T, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I was gonna get a Panic tattoo, which I've thought about because I like getting some band tattoos.
Just get a whole back tattoo on
I was
that whole
thinking
entire
about
album
getting
cover.
a pretty odd tattoo.
Nice.
there's my 9 albums.
Yeah, that's your 9x9. Okay, I have
Plenty of-
I guess I have another follow-up question, or
Okay.
not question, but observation. So I was composing these 9x9s together, and I noticed something really funny.
What?
I noticed something really funny. We hate the 2010s. We hate the 2010s.
Why do you say that?
Because on all these albums, there's not a single song released in 2010 to 2020.
Really?
There's not a single album. They've either been in the 90s, early 2000s, or after.
Okay, so all my albums were obviously before 2010 because
Yep.
I don't think there was a single one.
There wasn't a single one. The closest one that you had was, I'm pretty sure, The Bravery was the closest one, or maybe it was Owl City. I don't remember for sure, but they reached like 2008, 2009, maybe 2009. I think Owl City. But then, yeah, all my catalogs all consist of after the 2010s into the 2020s, and then that one Pearl Jam album in 91, and
Well,
then early 2000s.
I
So
think you know that I'm nostalgic. Like,
yeah,
most of my music is early, younger years.
Yep. And so yeah, I kind of drew that observation. I'm like, man, we did not like music in 2010, did we? Like,
Maybe there just wasn't an album that stuck out to us. Like I
Right,
said,
and
Vessel by 21 Pilots
Yeah.
would have been in 20.
and at the time, like, say if I would have put a Post Malone or a Drake song in there, that would have classified in 2010. But from the album spread that we have right now, there is no albums in the 2010s, and that's when I think music kind of hit its falling off range.
lacking.
Yeah, a little bit, because
Well, I just feel
have
like
a few
20
factors when music kind of fell off in my eyes.
I feel like 2000, 2010 was just so amazing.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a
And if
lot
you
of
talk to my
iconic
brother
songs. A lot.
or sister, they would say we're wrong.
Exactly. They would put probably everything in 2010, maybe even, But yeah, these songs, all the songs.
But hey, what song
Yeah.
are the Gen Zers listening to at the bars? They're still listening to Hot Fuss by the Killers.
True.
They're still listening to
I don't
Panic at
know.
the Disco.
They might have some brain
still
rot
listening
or
to
something like that.
90s music,
Yeah, there's
I don't know. I think it was better.
but-
I think
but
it was
yeah,
better.
It was just
2000
funny.
2010.
It was funny that we
90s.
just hated on the 2010s. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Any closing thoughts that you possibly had?
I think we should do a one-hit wonders episode.
Ooh, that could be a good one.
I think we should
Maybe
do
a
a one-hit
one-hit
wonders.
wonder, maybe a tier list or something like that. Like
Yeah.
rating how good their one-hit wonder actually was. Let us know down in the comments if you would like to see that, or maybe we can assemble another 3x3 like this. What our favorite one-hit wonders was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so this has
Endless
been our
music.
music 3x3.
Endless music talk. We can keep talking about music for as long as you guys want.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's so many more things that we barely only scratch the surface on the complex world of music.
Well, all right.
It's so yeah.
Episode
So
5.
yeah, episode 5 is
5
concluded.
episodes in.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, dear listener, for listening to the podcast. If you want us to talk about future topics, please leave them in the comments. We are accepting submissions for comments. I think I also have an email down there if you want to email that. If you don't want to post in the YouTube comments, I have an email open up. And actually, a little plug for me too. I actually do some live streaming over on my Twitch channel. So if you want to try to catch up with me, Josh, he doesn't really do much, but I stream. I stream a fair bit of video games.
Check out Coffee Center.
So yeah, if you want to check out my Twitch channel, Coffee Center on Twitch, that would be much appreciative. Leave a follow, helps a lot, and leave a
Yeah.
like and subscribe on this YouTube video.
Hey, make the best of today. You're not promised tomorrow, so.
Amen, Joshua. Amen. Night, everyone.